Well, good morning and welcome to Coach's Corner, live this Saturday from Hardee's as always, and Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to you and yours. Happy to have you along here this morning, and we're getting close to the end of the year, and next weekend we'll have our, of course, our year-end show, and we'll get things wrapped up from 2017. Looking forward into 2018. Let's head back to last night at Bronco Arena. The border battle between the Muskies and the Broncos and boys hockey took place, and early on it was all Muskies as they were able to get on the board 3 times in the first period. They got goals from Kendon Fairgard, Dayton Labby, and Caleb Breer. And it certainly looked like going into the second period it was going to be all Muskies. But the Broncos came out and stepped it up. It was a pretty even second period, and it stayed 3-0 until the late stages of the second period when Eric Pitkinen got the Muskies on the board again. They went up by a score of 4-0 with 1:15 remaining in the second period. However, the Broncos would answer back. Trimble Butler got the Broncos on the scoreboard, and we went to the final 17 minutes, or at least we thought the final 17 minutes, with the score sitting at 4-1. The Broncos would come out, and it was a different hockey team in the third period, folks, and they forced the Muskies into some penalties. Kane Koshik gets a power play goal at the 2:05 mark, and then the Broncos scored again with Koshik at the 5:24 mark, and then a 5-on-3 mixed in there. Keane Gonzalez had a chance on a penalty shot, and the Broncos tied the game at 4 at the 7:24 mark as Trevor Beckbar scored on the 5-on-3. That's where it stayed for the final 10 minutes of the third period, tied at 4. We'd go to overtime, and the overtime opened up with a great save by Jay Cloud, maybe one of the top saves I maybe have seen a Bronco goaltender make. It was absolutely from one side over, stretched out, spread eagle, make the save, made the glove save, and just moments later, Kane Koshik comes down the other way. He scores unassisted for the hat trick goal, and the Broncos win 5-4 in overtime over the Fort Francis Muskies. It's 5 straight goals for the Broncos to end that game to win it 5-4. Darian Clem, he had 28 saves for the Muskies. Jake Cloud, 27 saves in goal. 19 penalties in the game. Very physical. It was a typical Muskies Broncos game. It was very exciting, and it certainly looked like early on the Muskies were going to walk away with it and make a non-game of it. But I'll tell you what, the Broncos stepped back in. They even their record at 4-4 on the season. The Muskies fall to 12-4. In other high school action last night, very limited schedule being so close to Christmas. One game in girls hockey, Princeton 4-1 over Cloquet Esco Carleton. Remember, Cloquet Esco Carleton hasn't been in the Section 7A. They dropped down from AA to Single A this year, and so we'll keep track of them as we head towards tournament time. Of course, that's not too far away for the girls hockey. The playoffs start February 8th. In boys hockey last night, Hermantown 5-0 over Thief River Falls. Cloquet Esco Carleton beats number 6 Moorhead 3-2. Greenway 8, Evelyn Gilbert 0. They played twice this week. I don't know what kind of scheduling quirk that is, but that's a good scheduling quirk. Moose Lake area loses to Legacy Christian 3-2. Virginia MIB 5-3 over Bloomington Jefferson, and Brainerd defeats Grand Rapids by a score of 6-0. In girls basketball last night, Osakis over Moose Lake Willow River 74-52. Ogilvie 62-33, better than Hill City. Aiken, who came up and beat the Broncos a couple Fridays ago, they get a 56-54 win over Staples Motley. And in the high school girls basketball game of the night, Roseau went to the state tournament in AA last year out of Section 8. MIB goes to the state tournament in Section A out of Section 7. They played in Mountain Iron last night, 90-86 the final score. Mary Burke had 35 for MIB. Casey Borovitz had 35 points for Roseau, and that I can't even imagine what kind of game that was. As exciting as was as Bronco Arena, I'm sure the MIB gymnasium was just as raucous. Hermantown 66-25 over Duluth Denfeld, and Mesabi East beats Crosby Arrington by 5 points in girls basketball, 64-59. A few boys games last night. Cloquet 74, Thief River 50, Carleton 73, McGregor 76, Carleton 73. Mesabi East downs MIB 80-63. Grand Rapids gets the better of Pequot Lake 75-54. Barnum all over Two Harbors 83-50, and Staples Motley 78-45 over Aiken. The Minnesota Wild have been in Florida for a few days on their father-son trip. I know Bob Mason's brought along brother Bill for the week, and I think maybe they had a little too much sun and fun over the last couple days as the Wild took a 2-0 lead towards the end of the second period. But Florida comes back, scores the final 3 goals in the third period. They defeat the Minnesota Wild 3-2. Suter scored in the first, Winnick in the second. Gopher women's basketball defeated UC Riverside yesterday, 101-75. The Gophers are 11-2 in non-conference play. I don't know how much you want to read into that, how much you want to go with that. But anyway, Kenesha Bell scored 30 for the Gophers, and Carly Wagner added 23. Couple of bowl games yesterday. They were kind of snoozers, yawners if you tried to watch a little bit. Ohio 41-6 over Alabama Birmingham in the Bahamas Bowl. Hey, how can you complain being in the Bahamas playing football? That's kind of the way I look at it. And then up in Boise, Idaho, Wyoming 37-14 over Central Michigan. No college hockey games this weekend. Of course, this close to the holidays, they're taking their long break, which they all deserve because it gets to be a long time into mid-March. What's going on today? Well, over at Bronco Arena, you can go back and relive some memories. The alumni games will go on this morning. The girls take the ice right around 9:45. The boys take to the ice around 11 o'clock. So I know the doors will be open, so come on over to Bronco Arena, see some of the old hockey players, and I know I'll be heading there. I know my daughter's getting a chance to play this morning. She's ultra excited, so we're looking forward to it as well. The Gopher men's basketball team, they play Florida Atlantic at 2:30 today. That game's on BTN. There's a little football game tonight. I don't know if you've heard about it. The Vikings and the Packers, they've ever played before. I'm not sure if you're aware. Of course, there's all the Aaron Rodgers and Anthony Barr stuff. And, of course, the Vikings trying to maybe get a bye in the playoffs, looking maybe at home field advantage. Hey, there's all kinds of things. Of course, 6:30 on K104. The pregame starts. Kickoff at 7:30. The Wild are at Tampa Bay tonight. They lost last night. They better come out with an edge. And I wonder if, thinking about playing Tampa, the best team in the East, one of the best teams in the East, didn't have something where they were thinking ahead, and we'll see. They got to step back up, and they got to get a win against one of the best teams. That game is at 6 o'clock tonight. The Timberwolves are in Phoenix at 8 o'clock. There are 3 bowl games today if you're interested. The Birmingham Bowl, Texas Tech versus South Florida. The Armed Forces Bowl as Army takes on San Diego State. That game's at 2:30. And Appalachian State and Toledo tonight in the Dollar General Bowl. I just love the names. You don't know where they're at or how they're going to be. That game's in Mobile, Alabama, in case you're concerned about that. And of course, we've got nothing going on tomorrow, really. There's some NFL games, obviously, tomorrow, but nothing with local stuff going on. And, of course, our Broncos, our alumni playing in all the college sports and elsewhere, they all have the weekend off, so we'll come back to them next week when they get things going again. We're going to take a break here, and we are going to come back, and we're going to talk Bronco Titan Wrestling. You're listening to Coach's Corner, live from Hardee's on K104 and online at rjbroadcasting.com.
Well, they had one.
Welcome back to Coach's Corner as we have our second segment, and if things don't sound as kind of crystal clear as they usually do, we've been having some computer issues this morning, so we're on the phone line, so bear with us, and we appreciate you listening this morning. And joining me here is Coach Mike Holden, Noah Mathis, Hudson Mann, Chris Berry, and joining us here this morning from the it's tough for me to say Titan Wrestling, Coach. Should I be saying Titan Wrestling?
Yeah, you should be saying Bronco
Titan Wrestling.
Or is it Titan Bronco Wrestling?
Here it's Bronco Titan Wrestling.
I understand, Coach. I get it. And I've been putting it out onto Twitter and Facebook as Bronco Titan Wrestling. I like the sounds of that. I'm sure the guys on the range would rather be Titan Bronco, or just maybe Titan for those guys. But talk about how it's been going, Mike. Obviously, it's a transition.
I'm really pleased. Last night we were in Nashwauk, did a scrimmage with Hibbing. Wasn't on the schedule, but they got it set up for that. And so, the two towns are close to each other, and there's rivalry like Greenway and Rapids and Fort Francis and International Falls. So it was really, really fun to watch the wrestlers. The Titan, or Bronco Titan Wrestling, is molded into a group. It's like family now. So these 3 boys are getting along good with the Nashwauk boys, and the coaching staff is getting along really good. I enjoy working with them, and I do 1 practice a week with them. We take the kids down there, and they do a practice, and then we do our other practices during the week in International Falls. So it's going really, really good.
All right, I'm going to ask you boys if you guys agree with that. Now, Coach said it's going well. Noah, do you agree? It's going well.
Yeah, it's great.
It is obviously these are guys that you played against in football.
Yeah.
So I mean, so there, you've got those kinds of things to talk about. Was it kind of an interesting thing though to play against them in football, and now you guys are teammates?
Yeah, well, I met one dude, his name's Mike, and we all were scared of him on the football team because he had a tattoo, and then he showed up in the wrestling room. I'm like, hey, I know that kid, and then we started talking and became friends, and like everybody else, it's just really easy to get along with. We all just like bond together super quick. You know, the first day, shaking hands and meeting each other, it was just like friendship after that, you know. Yeah.
That's awesome to hear. Hudson, you're one of the young kids. You know, you're just a seventh grader. But of course, if I tell Coach Holden you're just a seventh grader, he wouldn't agree with me on that. He thinks you're more than a seventh grader. Do you feel that way?
Yeah, I do, because I think the extra practices have helped, and I think the Mighty Mustangs have been a big part of it, because to have a successful high school program, we need a good feeder program, and that's why we have the Mustangs, and we get along really well, and we're starting to be welcome as a team, and yeah.
Chris, has it been tough to... I can't imagine driving 2 hours for practice, you know, once a week, and then the other days you guys are running around the school. I saw you the other day, you're probably trying to lose some weight or something because you were running the hallways. It's one of those things. I just can't imagine the changes in the practices. Talk a little bit about maybe how tough it is, or is it easier than I think it would be?
Well, to be honest, though, the practice in Nashwauk is pretty easy compared to the stuff we do in the room. But it's worth the 2-hour drive because it helps us connect with the team, and we've made a lot of new friends. I've learned just watching two of their two captains over there wrestle. I learned so much from it.
And I know I talked about this with you, Coach, before the start of the season. You got to have kids of similar size, somewhat, to wrestle against during practice. It's almost mandatory, right?
Right. It's down there in Nashwauk. We have close to a full team. We've been forfeiting a couple matches in the lower weights, 105 and 113, but they got plenty of partners to rotate around and get new people with different strategy and wrestling. So it's working out really good down there. The practices in the falls. We're just 3 wrestlers here and then a couple of coaches, and we put them through the grind, and a lot of conditioning, a lot of wrestling in the room, running stairs, a lot of hard work. So yeah, I would say the falls practice is a lot harder than the Nashwauk.
All right, I've seen, Noah, that you've been wrestling at 195.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go on a limb. You're not 195 pounds, are you?
No.
What's the actual weight? Because Coach Frake, George Frake, we were discussing what your weight was after watching you during the football season. So what's your actual weight? Where would you go right now if we put you on the scale?
177.
177, okay. So that means you're wrestling against guys that are 15 to 20 pounds heavier than you are.
Yeah.
Talk about the challenges of that.
It's like when they're that much heavier than you, it's hard to like keep them down. Like when you're trying to like cross face them, they're just like stubborn and they won't go. And,
yeah.
And then, like, say if you're on bottom and you're trying to get up, they have so much weight on you, you just like it's hard. And then try to get up, it doesn't happen. Yeah,
Hudson, you've been wrestling at 138, I think, most of the season. I saw you at 132 once or twice. Are you also wrestling up? I mean, I could take a guess on your weight, but it's such a big deal, the weight classifications.
Yeah, I've been trying to get to 132. Like 2 weeks ago, I missed weight by 2 ounces, so I had to wrestle 138. And it's pretty challenging wrestling 138 because the kids are a lot stronger than me. They just muscle me over. It's been a struggle so far, but I'm starting to get stronger, and it's becoming a lot easier.
And I don't know. I'm going to go this way with it. You've been wrestling
10
10 years, okay, I was going to say probably what, 60 to 100 times per year matches? Easily, okay. So is wrestling like this, what you're doing this year, is it harder, just different with what you've been doing in the past? Because I would assume you've been wrestling kind of in your weight class or whatever against kids that are your same age. Now you could be wrestling theoretically a senior. Has it been tougher? How do you look at that as a?
Well, it's been a lot tougher, but I've had challenges with kids in the past that have been a lot stronger than me, and like the practices, they're not really harder. They're just different because I'm not really used to them. But I've had practices like with a lot of running and losing weight. So yeah.
Chris, you've been wrestling at 152, 145. Again, kind of that's the weight you'd like to be wrestling at? Do you see that maybe as your ideal place to be, at the ideal weight?
Yeah, that's about the place I like to be, if not 145. But yeah, I do a lot of muscling around the kids. I like to throw kids around if I can.
Well, you're a senior, so that kind of gives you the advantage, the kind of the opposite end of the spectrum from Hudson. So you're one of those guys who's kind of throwing guys around a little bit. Is there a favorite move that you have?
Mine, I honestly like headlocks and tying up. So I like to snap them down in a headlock and throw them in an armbar roll. That's what I like to do.
Do you do that to Coach?
No.
No. Coach doesn't let that happen, I'll bet, right?
No. I try to avoid.
Yeah, I wrestle them.
I was going to say, do you get out there and wrestle, Mike?
Yes, I still do, and I love it. And the harder the
Opponent is, the better I like it. So it's just one of those things in my blood,
I was going to say, can you? I mean, I haven't coached football in a few years now, 4 or 5 years, but I mean, even 4 or 5 years ago, it was tough not to go to practice and not want to get out there and walk in, and even without a helmet on, it's what you do, and you got to show. Sometimes you have to be there to demonstrate and show the kids.
Right, and I think it's important to bond with them that way too. It shows that the coach is out there wrestling. He's not just giving orders and being there and showing them some stuff in hard wrestling. I love it. The harder it is, the better I like it. So yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's a lot of fun.
Noah, did you wrestle last year? I can't remember. Help me out.
No.
And of course, you're only 7th grade. So, and Chris, did you wrestle last year? Try to remind me. I'm trying to think.
Well, last year I wrestled for about part of the season,
okay.
But I ended up going and getting a job instead.
So the place where I wanted to go with this is you guys are getting to wrestle as a team this year. You guys actually get to go to duels and compete and those kinds of things. Does that make the wrestling more fun, more interesting?
Yeah.
That they've got that? No, go ahead and speak to that if you would.
Yeah, it's like 8th grade year, my first year. We were just Broncos. We had 4 kids, and we go to tournaments and we'd have fun, but it's just not the same as having a big team and have people there cheer you on. More people feels the better, more confident you'll be able to become in a wrestling match.
Hudson, you've been wrestling singles basically. I mean, you don't get that team concept that I don't think with the Mighty Mustangs and the stuff you've been doing. So is this more fun to do it this way?
Well, I've had experience with teams before, at some bigger camps and Minnesota national team. So it's been fun wrestling on a high school team with kids that are a lot older than you, and you can learn from them.
Go ahead.
It's been a fun experience.
So do you guys? I mean, you guys have only been wrestling now here for about a month, but is there already some team out there? I mean, the Nashwauk and Greenway kids have been kind of telling you, this is our rival. This is who we don't like. This is who we like to wrestle against because we want to beat those guys. Chris, go ahead, and you're shaking your head over there. Go ahead and answer to that.
Well, I'd have to say that would be Big Bear. There's a lot of conflict with them. They're a very tough team, and we didn't get them this year, but hopefully they'll get them next year.
Coach, let's talk about the schedule so far. You guys had the scrimmage last night. You've had a out in Fosston and everything else, but coming up, I think you guys are supposed to be in Grand Rapids next weekend. Did I see that correctly?
Yeah, we're in Rapids on the 11th. Actually, we're in Rapids sooner than that.
On the 29th,
On the
right?
29th of December, and then we're there again on the 11th, and also on the
On the 27th of
on
January.
the 27th of January for the Skip Nayland tournament. So we're going to be in the Rapids country, which I really enjoy. Got old,
Well, I can't imagine why.
yeah, old
hometown.
teammates to coach against. So I'm looking forward to that. And, but yeah, and then we got the Northern Duels with Hibbing. We're also going to the Thief River Falls tournament. We got a lot of different stuff yet to keep us busy all the way through and into February till it's time for tournament regionals and stuff. So we're looking forward to it. There's a couple things I'd like to talk about.
Sure.
The coaching staff we have, we've molded into, starting with the little kids, the Mustangs, we have pre-K to 8th grade, Dan Schermerhorn from Frazee. He lives here now working, of course, for the DNR in town, and so having Dan there with the little kids, and then Jeremy Mann and Corey Wolf, it's a nice combination for pre-K through 8th grade. The delegation of those coaches, it makes it so for high school, for me, I can concentrate on the high school kids, and they're doing an awesome job with the little kids, with the Mustangs.
And I see that they're wrestling over at St. Thomas. I was there a couple days ago, and the mats were in and everything else. And then I drove by the other night, and I'm like, what are all the cars doing here? And I saw everybody strolling into St. Thomas. They're going into wrestle. It was that time of the day. So
yeah, we decided to do that over there, and I like the idea because then it lets me concentrate in the high school room without worrying about little kids out in the hallway and stuff getting ready to come into the high school room. They're doing their thing over there, and Dan likes that too, and lots of room in there.
Sure.
So that's going good. And then getting on to the varsity, so I work with Jeremy Mann, helps in there too, and then we have a newcomer, Chris Thornson. He was a two-time state champion of the state of Washington when he was in high school, and then wrestled at Jamestown and Itasca Junior College, where he was All-American. He's a pastor of the First Assembly Church here in International Falls, and just a nice guy. Him and I.
A guy who is a wrestler that's a pastor. That's an interesting combination. Keep that in mind, guys. Okay, yeah. Anyway, sorry.
So he's in the room running practices with me and Jeremy, and I really, it's worked out really good. And it's going, he has good conditioning, All-American in college. He's definitely solid. So we've bonded that way in the high school, and we've bonded in the little kids. So it's a good coaching staff. It was before too. Pete and me, and then Pete and Dan Schermerhorn before
Sure.
too. And it was Pete's dream to bring this whole thing back, and I give him credit for that. But Pete moved away, so it's one of those things. And now we're putting it all together, and it's working out good. We haven't had any issues with the coaches. So
that's awesome to hear, and I guess I'm looking forward to finally getting a chance to come down and watch you guys. I'm gonna have to dig into my schedule. Did I see Hibbing? When is that again?
Yeah, we got Hibbing on
12th and 13th of January. Is that when that is?
Actually, we have them on the 5th and 6th
5th and 6th
of January.
Is the previous weekend. I knew it was
Yeah.
coming up. So, and
Yeah.
you said that is the Northern Duel, so that's where you kind of get a bunch of teams together, and
Yeah.
it has a tournament atmosphere
Yeah.
where you put everybody into a bracket.
I'm not sure how many teams are there, Tim. Maybe Hudson knows.
I think there's like 12 or 14 teams.
Okay. 12 or 14
so
teams.
it'll be exciting, and there'll be rivalry, of course, when it's Hibbing, and then all the other ones from the range,
Sure.
and so it'll be fun to watch. The other thing I can talk, so the other thing I'd like to talk today is about these three boys. Two of them have only had a couple of years in wrestling. They didn't come through the Mustang program. I give them credit for doing that, and we're going to try to recruit. This year we worked hard to get a co-op in place, but I think next year we need to focus on recruiting not only in International Falls but in Nashwauk too. I go in the school and I see a lot of people in the hallways that are doing absolutely nothing, and I've been trying to talk to them about joining wrestling, but we're going to push it harder next year.
Sure.
So, but then so these guys, you got to give them credit. They came out, a couple of years now they've got, and they'll be moving on. Noah's got a couple more to go, but Chris will be moving on. he's going military here real soon, the Marines. So I'm proud of him for that too. And then and they never back away from matches, even if they know. And then Hudson too. Hudson, 7th grade. You know, we got into the co-op, and I wasn't quite sure how this was going to pan out. I knew he was tough, okay?
Sure.
Hudson's wrestled all over the United States. But I also knew he'd be wrestling upperclassmen. No, not the same age.
Yeah.
You know, like he's been used to in USA Wrestling. Now you're looking at juniors and seniors, and he's in 7th grade. So I didn't know how he was going to take it. The young fella stepped up. He's won matches. He's lost matches. And he's taking it like a man. And I'm smiling about it because I didn't know how it was going to work out.
Sure.
I really didn't. And I'm proud of all 3 of these boys. They've been coming to practice and working hard. And so that's pretty much what I got to say about them. And, you know, I mean, there's a future there, but we need to recruit. We really do.
Mike, I appreciate you guys being here. Noah, Hudson, and Chris, thanks for being here. And like I said, looking forward to have a great rest of this season. And like I said, hopefully I'll get down and watch you guys very, very soon. The boys, the Titan, Bronco Titan wrestling team joining me. Bronco Titan.
Oh, I got one more thing.
Oh, yeah, go ahead, Mike.
One thing we're going to do is, on the yearbook for International Falls Yearbook, is we're going to put these guys in Bronco uniforms for the yearbook. So
It's the right.
even though we're a co-op, they'll have their pictures taken
Sure.
in the yearbook, and they'll be Bronco singlets. So
Hudson.
One more thing I wanted
Yeah,
to add
yeah.
that's new and I like is the managers down at Nashwauk. Every one of our matches, they keep score and they record it so we can watch them on like the bus rides home and fix our mistakes. I really like that.
Guys, I appreciate you here. Best of luck the rest of the way,
Thank you, thank you.
and Merry Christmas.
Merry
Mike
Christmas,
Holden,
Tim.
Mike Holden, Noah Mathis, Hudson Mann, and Chris Berry joining me here. We'll take a break and we'll come back with an interview I taped with the Little Fork Big Falls Viking girls basketball team early in the week. You are listening to Coach's Corner from Hardee's on K104 and online at rjbroadcasting.com. Welcome back to Coach's Corner. We're joined by members of the Little Fork Big Falls Vikings girls basketball team. Head coach Mason Imhoff. I still quite haven't got used to that, coach, but I will. I have a feeling I'm going to have like 20 years to get used to that. Kate Knable and Emily Franz also joining us. And coach, we do have to talk about the change. The change from the Falls back down to Little Fork, back to the home school. It's been a good change.
It's been a good change, yeah. I've enjoyed every minute of it coming back home to Little Fork. Obviously I have a lot of close relationships with a lot of people in International Falls, and the 2 years I spent there meant a lot to me. I learned a lot from many different people there. I obviously, miss my team. I was very close with a lot of the guys, and I still talk to them. But coming down here, we've had a good start. I love the team I'm coaching now, and I look forward to building a really solid program here.
So now not only are you basketball coach, but you're also baseball coach, and not only do you teach, but you get to be athletic director. Which one of those has been the most challenging? Not that you've got to do much baseball job, but what's been the most challenging part of that job?
Yep. I do want to say that I enjoy every one of those jobs. You're right, I haven't been able to do baseball yet, but being athletic director presents new challenges just because it's new and you're responsible for many different things. Teaching, the kids are great, the school is great in Little Fork. Basketball is my all-time favorite sport, so I enjoy every minute of that as well.
Ladies, let's get you involved, and Emily, we'll start with you. I asked Coach in the pregame interview. I asked them about who's had the tougher adjustment, you to the girls or the girls to you. You want to take a stab at that one and say who's had the tougher change from last season to this season?
I don't know. I mean, it seems like as time's gone on, he's gotten more comfortable being around girls instead of boys. I think that might have been a little bit of an adjustment for him, but
Well, they are different.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that.
he's done well.
Yeah.
We've really only had boy coaches besides our volleyball coach, and Mike, our softball coach, is his dad. We kind of got a little feel of what he'd be
Are
like.
they the same?
No,
No.
they're not.
No. Okay, what's the same about them?
It's hard to tell what they're thinking.
Yeah, that's very true.
Wow.
You don't, and they just always have the same facial expression. So you can't ever like read them. They don't have body language.
So what's the best thing? What's the similarity? What's most similar about them that you can get with him?
They like to have fun and they can laugh, but winning is also very important, which is a good balance, I think.
I think you guys have hit it on the head. I think I can see that and all that. And those are good things. So let's talk about the start of the season. How do you feel like the start of the season has gone, Kate, for the team? I know you've been injured, out, so you've had a chance to watch the team from the sideline a little bit. How do you think things have gone?
Pretty good. I think we struggle a little bit with ball handling, but we'll get there. There's a lot of new people out there, so, we're getting there.
Yeah. Emily, how about for you? What are your thoughts on that?
We have definitely grown every day. I mean, we've gotten better every day. It's cool to see that improvement. We also are like a brand new team. I mean, there's two of us, well, one of us that have really, well, Nelly, I guess, two of us that have like been starters before. So that's different. And I mean, every team we've played have had the same five. It feels like since they could walk.
Yeah.
So true.
Yeah, I guess when you start talking about Big Fork and MIB
and the Falls and
the Falls is coming up.
Yep.
Let's talk about the Falls. There's a thing. I'm sure you guys you've been out scouting them. You've got them all tested out. You watched them. Have you seen them play?
I have not.
Have not seen them play. Okay.
Other than the scrimmage, but.
So but already because Coach was there spying for 2 years. We'll call it. And it's a game that's coming up. It's in the fall, so I'll take that back. Is it better to play that game on the road, or is it better to play it at home? At home.
I don't know. Just the feel of our gym and I don't know.
Shooting the free throws, everything. It's a little easier when you're there.
Comfort.
That won't matter crowd-wise because the same number of people are going to be there. What's been kind of the strength of this team in your guys' minds, Kate, through the first part of the season? You already said that you guys need to work on the ball handling. What have you guys done well so far?
I think there's a lot of work ethic there and a lot of hustle, so that's always good.
And you can't teach those things. I've learned through the years. What's the thing that you see, Emily, that this team needs to work on?
Needs to work on?
Yeah.
Ball handling. And I think like getting comfortable with our talent. I think a lot of us are more talented than we let ourselves think.
So talk about some of your teammates who have maybe stepped up. You talked about the you and Nelly, and we're all set, and now everybody else is new. Who else new are we talking about?
Natalie Knabel has done. She's our point guard now since Kate's been out. She's done a great job. She scores when she needs to. She's, for only being a freshman, she's a strong player. I mean, she is young, so of course she has her mess-ups like we all do, but all together I would think she's been doing fine.
Who else stepped in, Kate?
I think Emily Fairchild's been playing hard, playing well.
I really think we've all just played hard, played tough, played to the end.
Coach, are they missing somebody that maybe they didn't mention that you've noticed maybe hasn't been giving you 25 minutes, but maybe who comes in and maybe has been that 7th, 8th player, that maybe that 3rd, 4th player off the bench, and you kind of go, this is an important piece of the puzzle?
Mm-hmm. I would say, Marianne Gray has been very solid. I put her up in the starting lineup every night, and I have trust in her that I'm going to get a good start from her. And, she's into it. She takes everything very seriously, and she gives a good effort every time she goes out there.
Is there somebody, and I always ask this in the first interview of the season with every team, is there a team, besides the Falls now, because we know that's a big game, who's out there? And you guys have played a lot of you played the Big Forks and the MIBs already early in the season. Is there some team out there that you're kind of looking forward to, maybe somebody that snuck away from you last year, got maybe a win that got away from you and you really want to get back at them?
Lake of the Woods, they beat us twice last year, and I think that was the first time they ever beat a team that I was on.
Yeah.
So that was frustrating. Same with Kelly or North Home. They beat us twice last year. I'd like to get back at both those teams, which are both this week.
And so what's the key? Obviously, the girls and all that. What's kind of maybe the key to those 2 games from this past week?
Good ball rotation.
Yeah.
Okay. Offense?
Yeah.
Getting things going? So, who are their best players?
For Killier Northholm. Lakin Wagner. She can shoot. She's been, I feel like, on varsity since she was in 2nd grade. And then for Lake of the Woods, they have Marissa Johnson. She's their post. Those two both, I feel like, stand out to both of our teams.
They have that scrappy little guard, too.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know her name.
Draper. Licia Draper, I think her name is.
She's a hustler, yeah.
How about somebody coming up after Christmas? Is there a game coming up after the break? I mean, even if you guys even look out that far, I mean that's more my job than Coach's job to do that.
We'll have Big Fork again, which will be,
Tough.
as always, tough.
Always tough.
But we'll be a new team next time we see them, which will be good.
Yeah. No, okay, nobody else out there. I said you guys have played some of the biggies already that are out there. So, Coach, how about you? You see somebody on the schedule that's there that kind of makes you think a little bit, and you got to get out and you're going to have to scout that team or something. Somebody out there that you really want to give your best shot to.
I look at Chisholm. I feel like Chisholm and us might be very similar in skill level currently. I think it's a game we got to show up for. I have a lot of respect for Chisholm. Basketball's a big deal in Chisholm, especially, but I really want to compete with Chisholm, and that's a game I really look forward to and I want to win.
Wish you guys the best of luck. Have a great holiday season, and we'll see you guys on, let's see, what is it? It's Friday. It was Thursday. It's changed to Friday. We'll see you guys when the Falls and the Vikings battle there on the 29th. Thanks for your guys' time, and we'll look forward to seeing you guys down the road.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Coach Mason Imhoff, Kate Knebel, and Emily Franz joining me. We'll take a break. We'll come back with more Coach's Corner. You're listening on K104 and online at rjbroadcasting.com.
I'll see you after the game.
Welcome back to Coach's Corner for our final segment, and want to wish you and yours a very Merry Christmas, and if we don't talk to you next week, a Happy New Year as we head to this holiday season. Make sure you get out and enjoy your time with your family and friends. It's part of the reason for the season. It's what it's all about. Not to get too whatever about that, but let's go back to the past week and let's talk about what happened last Saturday. The Bronco boys hockey team hosted Kittson County Central at Bronco Arena. They got a 3-0 win with goals by Jackson Jermaine Jordan Smith, who got his first varsity goal, and also by Barrett Kaler. Jake Cloud and Wyatt Omdahl combined for the shutout in net. The Bronco boys basketball team was on the road at Virginia 29-19. They trailed at the half. They lose by a final of 68-43. Tanner Budgess led the way with 12. Taylor Wilson added 10 for the Falls. The Rainy River women's and men's basketball teams were in Brainerd wrapping up their pre-division schedule. And the Rainy River women's team got a 63-60 win over Fergus Falls. They improved to 7-2 on the season. Deja Monroe, another big night, 28 points. Devonay Gross had 11, and Valon Mobley also added 11 for the Voyager women. The men also got the better of Fergus Falls, 82-64. They go into the new year with a 7-3 record. Anthony Mara led the way with 19. Devarius Wright had a double-double of 15 and 10, and Greg Barker also added 10. On Sunday, the Fort Francis boys and girls hockey teams hosted Sioux Lookout. The boys team got a 4-1 win on Sunday as Eric Pitkinen had a pair of goals. Caleb Breer and Austin Armstrong, also had goals. The girls won by a final of 9-2 on Sunday. CC Hayes had a hat trick and Siobhan McIntosh a pair of goals to lead the Fort. On Monday, both teams got the sweep of Sioux Lookout as they got a pair of wins. On Monday, the boys win by a final of 9-2. Connor Nelson had a pair of goals for the Muskie boys, while 7 other Muskies scored single goals. The Fort Francis girls got a 4-0 win in Game 2. Jess Steele, Hannah LeDrew, Jenna Clendenning, and CC Hayes with the goals on Monday. The Viking girls basketball team was down in Kelliher to take on Northholm Kelliher Mustangs on Monday. I was down there as well. And they fell behind 35-12. They were down by 23 points at the half, and it was a 23-point game with 14:15 to go. But then here came the Vikings. They would go on a 33-14 run over the next 11-plus minutes and close it to a 4-point game with 3 minutes to play. However, that is as close as the Viking girls could get. They lose by a final score of 63-49. Emily Franz had 17 points to lead the Vikings. The Viking boys were also on the road on Monday. They were down in LaPorte. The Wildcats led 40-25 at half, and they would go on to down the Vikings by a final score of 78-61. Matt Kennedy had 19, Logan Maish 12, and Mason Borman for the Vikings in that game in LaPorte on Monday. On Tuesday, we were down in Eveleth covering the Bronco girls hockey game. Of course, it was a very somber occasion with the passing of the Golden Bears girls hockey player who was killed in a snowmobile accident about a week ago. And a lot of emotion for Eveleth Gilbert. They came out and played with that emotion in the first period. Were the better team and led 1-0 after the first period. However, the Broncos would come out and absolutely dominate the second and third period. It was so much fun to watch. They were skating and doing the things that they needed to do. Grace Bragg would score 2 of her 3 goals in the second period. Morgan Rasmussen and Amber Thielander would also get goals as the Broncos won by a final score of 5-2. The Bronco boys swimming and diving team was in Aurora to face Mesabi East. The Giants would win the team battle by a score of 103-74. Individually, Gavin Wilson took second in the 200 free. Alex Bissonette second in the 50 free. Logan Phillips took first in diving. Adrian Manassa was second in diving. And Alex Bellinger took first in the 100 fly and second in the 100 back. Also on Tuesday, Devarius Wright from the Rainy River men's basketball team was named Northern Division Player of the Week. He was absolutely electric, averaging 19.5 points a game. Also had 10.5 rebounds in the games down in Brainerd. No action on Wednesday. On Thursday, the Bronco boys basketball team got their first win under head coach Amos McKenzie with an impressive 82-58 win over Big Fork. The Broncos led 43-26 at halftime and were never threatened in the second half. Armando Barrios, a ginormous night. That's the only word I can use for it, folks. 39 points, 19 in the first half, 20 in the second half. And school record's 44 points kind of gives you an idea of how close he came to breaking that school record. Max Olson had 15 and Taylor Wilson 13 in that win. The Bronco girls basketball team was on the road in Deer River. They won 60-49. Emma Gilbert had 17. Janet Humbert and Grace Gilbert each had 11. Little Fork Big Falls Viking girls team was in Lake of the Woods, over in Badette at Lake of the Woods, They got off to another slow start, fell behind 12-1. They were down 19-9 at the half. They lose 43-36. The Bronco girls hockey team, after the win in Eveleth on Tuesday, they hosted Proctor Hermantown, one of the perennial strong powers of Section 7A, and the Broncos showed themselves very, very well. The Mirage got a power play goal in the first period. They would lead 1-0 after 2. Senior Gina Oren would score 3:34 into the third period. We'd go to overtime 2 nights in a row. Overtime at Bronco Arena. However, the Broncos come away with a good opportunity that didn't go in the net. Unfortunately, the Mirage go right back down to the other end, slap one in 51 seconds into overtime, and they beat the Broncos by a final score of 2-1. The Fort Francis girls volleyball team played host to Dryden on got to look at my schedule, make sure that, no, they were in Dryden. And the girls lost in volleyball in 5 sets. They won the first 2 sets 26-24 and 25-19. However, they lost the last 3, 25-15, 25-16, and a very tight 5th set, 15-13. The Fort Francis Muskie boys basketball team was also in Dryden on Thursday. They lose 82-64. Kobe Ward led the way with 33 points. Of course, last night I mentioned we had overtime at Bronco Arena. The Broncos actually trailed the Fort Francis Muskies by a score of 4-0 with 1:15 remaining in the second period. However, the Broncos would get 1 before the end of the second period. They'd score 3 in the first half of the third period. They tie it at 4, and then Kane Kasha gets the overtime winner, 1:37 into overtime. That was his hat-trick goal, and what a game at Bronco Arena last night. I know one team had to go home disappointed, and one team was going to go home happy, and it was a typical Muskie Bronco game. If you weren't there, hope you were able to listen on K104 last night. It was fun to watch. It was great to be there. Let's talk about the week that's coming up. Of course, today, 9:45, about 10 minutes ago, the girls' alumni hockey game got started. The Bronco alumni hockey game got started. The boys will go at 11 o'clock, so if you got nothing else going on, run over and see who's come back to play for the alumni and, of course, relive some of those fond memories that we have of everything that's going on. Sunday's off, of course. Monday's off with the Christmas. Tuesday, things get back underway. The Fort Francis girls hockey team will get their 3 days of hockey started over in the War Road tournament as they play on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. The Fort Francis boys, they get started in Thief River Falls on Wednesday and will play Thursday and Friday as well. The Bronco boys hockey team on Thursday, they'll head over to War Road and they'll start their 3 days of tournaments. They'll start with Osseo on Thursday, then on Friday they play Grafton, North Dakota, and then on Saturday afternoon at 1 o'clock they play the host team, the War Road Warriors. We'll have that game for you with the pregame starting right around 12:45. The Bronco girls hockey team heads to Blaine on Thursday. They will be playing in the Schwann's Cup down there. They play Spring Lake Park on Thursday, and then opponents to be determined on Friday and Saturday. We'll have Saturday's game for you either on the AM or the FM, depending upon what time they play, and we'll know more about that as the weekend rolls along. The Bronco wrestlers will be in Grand Rapids on Friday, the 29th, and then, of course, the border battle in basketball. We just got done doing the hockey one last night. We'll have the border battle in basketball between the Vikings and the Broncos. It's going to be kind of a different type of setup. The JV game for the girls, I believe, starts at 2 o'clock on Friday, and then the JV boys game goes right around 3:45, and then we're going to have varsity girls basketball right around 5:15. We're going to have varsity boys basketball game right around 7:15, and of course we'll have both of those varsity games on the air for you on K104 and RJBroadcasting.com. And finally, on Saturday, the Bronco boys swimming and diving team, they have their home invitational that will begin at 11 o'clock. I believe I heard 6 or 7 teams, so it'll be an all-day type of thing. So get on out to the Bronco pool and witness the Bronco boys swimming and diving team as they host their invitational on Saturday. Next week we'll have, of course, our year in review. We'll recap everything that happened in 2017. We'll also have as always, an interview, and we'll talk about the week that was and the week that's coming up. Thanks for everybody for joining us along here this morning. Thanks to Ryan back at the station. Thanks to everybody here at Hardy's that took care of our guests. Thanks to our guests, the Bronco Titan Wrestlers, and also the Little Fort Big Falls Viking girls basketball team. But most of all, thank you for listening. Merry Christmas to everybody, and wish you the best over this coming weekend. And again, if you can't join us next week, Happy New Year and a very good 2018. We'll talk to you soon here. You've been listening to Coach's Corner, live from Hardy's on K104 and online at RJBroadcasting.com.